Welcome, and thank you for joining us for a crucial update on one of the most closely watched legal battles in recent memory. We're here to unpack the latest developments from the courtroom, as Sean Diddy Combs' high-profile sex trafficking and racketeering trial recently concluded its 7-week run. This case has gripped headlines, unfolding over months, with accusations that cut deep into the music mogul's empire. Diddy, since his arrest in September 2024, has pleaded not guilty to all charges leveled against him. For weeks, the public has followed every twist and turn, the legal arguments, and the compelling testimonies presented by both sides. Now, as the jury prepares to deliberate, the question on everyone's mind is, what will the outcome be? And more specifically, where do legal experts believe Diddy might be truly vulnerable? This is a critical moment, as the stakes couldn't be higher. This case features charges including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. You might be wondering, with all the evidence presented, if a conviction is a certainty. Well, an expert has claimed that Diddy might be cooked on one very specific charge. Yes, you heard that right, cook. This immediately begs the question, which charge is it, and why is it considered his weakest point? This unexpected insight acts as our scroll-stop interjection, setting up a contrarian snapback. Despite the prosecution's seemingly massive case against him, not everyone is convinced of a guaranteed outcome. Aubrey O'Day, the former Danity Kane singer and Diddy protege, who has been closely following the trial, isn't entirely sold on the prosecution's ability to prove the crimes without a doubt. She personally believes he is guilty of all the charges, but a rational justice side conflicts with her personal feelings about what was proven in court. This creates a compelling contrast, so in the next few minutes we will break down exactly where things stand for each charge. We will delve into the expert opinions, examining the prosecution's arguments and the defense's attempts to counter them. To help you understand the complex legal landscape Diddy now faces, we'll reveal the charge where he's most vulnerable and explore the legal intricacies that could sway the jury's decision. Let's begin our in-depth analysis by looking at the specific charges and the expert insights surrounding them. We'll start with the charge that an expert believes could be Diddy's Achilles heel, his second-best point, to maintain that pattern of increasing value. First up, the charge of transportation to engage in prostitution. According to criminal defense attorney Eric Faddis, Diddy might be cooked on this charge. Why is this particular charge seen as so problematic for the defense? Faddis explained that the sex workers were very clear about their role and their purpose for being transported across state lines. It was for sex and not something else. This testimony provides direct, unambiguous evidence regarding the intent behind the transportation. The clarity of the witnesses on this point could be highly damaging to the defense, making it difficult for the jury to disregard. However, the defense, in an attempt to create doubt and undermine the government's argument, found a way to present a different explanation. Faddis noted that the defense was able to get an employee of one of the companies to say that Diddy was just buying the escort's time and not any sexual performance. This specific counter-argument could provide the jury with a basis to acquit Diddy on these transportation charges if they choose to believe it. This creates a direct contrast that engages the viewer, highlighting the complexity of legal battles. It introduces an open loop. Which argument will the jury believe? Next, let's move to the charge of racketeering conspiracy. This is arguably the most sweeping charge, as prosecutors argued that Diddy ran an alleged criminal enterprise with full control. Criminal defense attorney John W. Day stated that the jury is unlikely to find Diddy not guilty of racketeering. This is a significant assessment, suggesting a strong case from the prosecution. The prosecution's case on racketeering was indeed described as overwhelming evidence. They presented a multitude of forms of evidence to the jury. They heard testimony, saw texts, viewed bank records, and heard audio showing the rapper committing crime after crime for decades. According to Assistant U.S. attorney Christine Slavic, Diddy had been able to evade justice for so long because of his money and power, but she declared that that stops now. This highlights the prosecution's confidence in their case, framing Diddy as the villain of this alleged criminal enterprise. They elaborated that the prosecution made a compelling case to the jury that this met all the elements of racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. They argued that Diddy presided over this little kingdom of criminal activity designed to make him happy. The sheer volume and variety of evidence suggest a comprehensive effort to establish the pattern of an ongoing criminal enterprise which is central to a racketeering conviction. However, the defense faced a considerable challenge on this front. They merely rested without putting on any witnesses. This decision leaves the jury to pick through the government's case to see if this really rises to racketeering. John W. Day suggested that the defense's best hope is a miracle where the jurors don't buy the government's claim that this was racketeering, and that Diddy was the head of a criminal empire dedicated to fulfilling his desires. A hung jury on one or more of the charges remains a possibility if jurors are conflicted and cannot reach a unanimous verdict. Day further emphasized that the prosecution really need a conviction for racketeering to claim total victory. It was a tough sell for the defense to convince even at least one juror that the case wasn't there, especially after weeks of horrific testimony about Diddy and his empire. This tension between the prosecution's strong case and the defense's strategy creates a vivid picture of the courtroom drama. Finally, let's consider the charge of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. This is where things become not as clear-cut. According to one expert, Diddy was accused of sex trafficking two of his former girlfriends, Cassie Ventura and a woman identified as Jane, who testified under a pseudonym. The prosecution's claim was that Diddy transported both women across state lines and then allegedly forced them to engage in sexual acts with male escorts while he observed. However, the defense found opportunities to challenge the force, fraud, or coercion aspect of this charge during cross-examination. Criminal defense attorney Eric Faddis pointed out that, on cross-examination, both Cassie and Jane admitted to willingly participating in some of the freak-offs, which could cause the jurors to wonder if all of the romantic encounters may have been consensual. Furthermore, Faddis noted that both Cassie and Jane admitted to voluntarily ingesting drugs before the freak-offs, which may undercut the prosecution's coercion argument. These admissions during cross-examination could introduce reasonable doubt for the jury regarding the element of coercion. Despite these admissions, it is crucial to understand the full context. Faddis also highlighted that Cassie and Jane provided compelling, evocative testimony detailing physical abuse and financial coercion. The U.S. Attorney's Office also provided photo evidence of the alleged abuse Cassie Ventura endured. So, while elements of their testimony might have been used by the defense to suggest consensual involvement, the overall testimony and supporting evidence painted a picture of deeply troubling circumstances that could still lead to a conviction. This illustrates the complex challenge for the jury, weighing potentially conflicting narratives and determining the presence of force, fraud, or coercion. In summary, the Sean Diddy Combs trial has reached a critical juncture with the jury now deliberating. Experts believe Diddy faces significant risk on the transportation to engage in prostitution charge due to the clear testimony from sex workers. On racketeering conspiracy, the prosecution presented overwhelming evidence of an alleged criminal enterprise, making a guilty verdict likely according to one expert, despite the defense's decision to rest without calling witnesses. The charge of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion remains less clear-cut, as elements of the victim's testimony on cross-examination could be used by the defense to argue for consensual participation, even though the overall testimony also detailed physical abuse and financial coercion. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges. The ultimate outcome now rests in the hands of the jury, who have spent weeks absorbing and analyzing every detail of this complex case. The legal world and the public alike eagerly await their verdict, which will determine the future of a music icon. What do you make of these expert opinions? Do you believe Diddy will be convicted on any of these charges, or will the defense's arguments create enough doubt? Share your thoughts and predictions in the comments section below. We'd love to hear your perspective on this incredibly intricate legal case. If you found this in-depth analysis insightful and want to stay informed on high-profile legal cases and celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We are committed to bringing you timely, detailed, and clear breakdowns of the stories that matter most, helping you navigate the complexities of current events. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to continuing this important conversation with you.